ugly lop-eared mongrel, fancy-free without a family tree. But he could up and do it and prove there's nothing to it, and that's how a good dog should be. Here, yeller, come back, yeller, best doggone dog in the West. Best doggone dog in the West.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Medfield College Film Society. I am Jeff Crawford. We're not talking about Herbie, and with me are my society members. First of all, we'll start with Robert McSwain, the founder. How you doing, Robert?
I am, as I mentioned in the pre-show, I've got a lot of juggling a lot of balls right now, and almost dropped a big one tonight here on the missing the podcast. So, but I'm here. I made it a little bit late, but
Present. You were just unplugging after Herbie. Okay, and then down in Central Florida, Mr. Michael Crawford. How's it going, my brother?
Fine here. Out in the swamp, digging up all sorts of lizards and animals and stuffing them in my pockets.
You just gotta find a good fresh spring and you're good to go, man.
Exactly. Wallow around in my drinking water.
And up in the mountainous regions, probably near a nice spring area, Mr. Andy Brown. How's it going, Andy?
Hey, guys. How are y'all?
We're doing well.
All right, man.
Good to be here. Just got back from a trip from Disney.
I was going to say.
Yeah.
You've been down there.
I've been down there in the middle of this all this craziness, and had a good time. And in fact, I took a lot of photos. And probably, I think when this podcast releases, if you follow me on Twitter at big_Andy, I'm going to start releasing some of those photos, and you're just going to be blown away by some of these things. So
Brand
keep your eye out
Big
for that.
Andy.
You heard it here, folks. Follow Big Andy on Twitter. Andy, let me ask you, do you know who Moochie is now?
I know who Moochie is all too well.
It's like
So-
you kind of, manifested something, I think, when you said you didn't know who Moochie was.
Yeah, I did. And it's been an amazing journey. And I think Moochie is the same as he was when I first met him as he was in my just most recent film that we've watched. So
Moochie is who we thought he was.
yes.
All right, Michael. Well, let's, what are we watching? What are we watching here tonight?
We are watching the 1957 Disney classic Old Yeller. Yes, Old Yeller. Directed by Robert Stevenson, who we have already seen in the first two Herbie films and The Absent-Minded Professor, and who we will see many times in the future. It was written by Fred Gibson and William Tunberg, based on a book by Fred Gibson. Associate producer, big Disney legend Bill Anderson, and starring Dorothy McGuire with top billing, Mrs. Robinson herself, as Mrs. Swiss Family Robinson, I should say, as Katie Coates. Yeah. Fess Parker, Davy Crockett as Jim Coates, Jeff York, a.k.a. Mike Fink as Bud Searcy, Chuck Connors, the rifleman, as Burns Sanderson, Beverly Washburn as Elizabeth Searcy, and introducing Tommy Kirk as Travis Coates, and Moochie himself, Kevin Corcoran, as Arliss Coates, with Spike as Old Yeller. This movie has a lot of notable Disney talent behind it, and notable Hollywood talent behind it. Music by the long time Disney composer Oliver Wallace, with a banger of a theme song with music by Wallace and lyrics by Gil George, a.k.a. Hazel George, who was the Disney studio nurse and gave Walt his daily massage, his famous Scotch mist and cigarette massage every day. Art directed by Carol Clark, who was a legendary Hollywood art director originally from RKO, has way too many notable credits there and at Disney to mention. Sets by Emil Curry. Second AD was Yakima Canute, the very famous Hollywood stunt artist and later stunt director. Matched by Disney legend Peter Ellenshaw. Lots of talent here.
It's funny, we go from Herbie Goes Bananas, which is kind of an end of an era of this Disney live action pre Michael Eisner to this, which is, Walt was around. This is kind of the beginning of the machine firing up of the, a tremendous run of live action stuff, which we feast on this podcast.
Yeah, this was really the start of when they were really just starting to get into live action film. Right. So, beginning of an era.
Michael, you had said that this is introducing Tommy Kirk. So was this his first Disney movie?
Yeah, it was. Him and Moochie both.
Tommy had done. I had did like scenery on one other movie I saw, but this is his first like speaking starring roles I remember.
So man, they threw him in with both feet.
Yeah,
right.
A big role.
Tommy, this is Mooch. Mooch, this is Tommy.
Can you watch this, kid? Okay, rolling.
I think I read that they were brothers in like 4 or 5 movies total.
Oh yeah,
right.
Probably.
Yeah.
Sounds right. Yeah.
Just to go back to what you said about Oliver Wallace, Gil George, these are 2 real legends, and this song, it just gets in your head. It's it's pretty amazing, and how they weave the theme in so well throughout the movie. It's a really great music.
Well, I hadn't seen this movie since I was young, but I remembered the theme song vividly. Like I could sing it immediately, but I didn't have. That was like one of the highlights of the whole movie. I mean, as a child, was the theme song. I always loved it.
Indeed, it was. Well, it's that time where we throw it to Andy. Andy, had you seen Old Yeller before?
I had seen, like Robert had said, I had seen this movie. I think it was probably in the second grade. So it's been 30 plus years since I've seen it. And like Robert, that's as soon as I heard the theme song, it came right back to me. And because I find myself singing that song randomly, just being like, "Oh, Yeller, come back, Yeller." But yeah, I mean, so that was and also the memories. I remember crying as a kid at the end of the movie. I'm not going to give you spoilers yet.
Well,
but
what happens? My parents always turned it off and said that sometime about 15 minutes ago, and then said they just lived happily ever after. What are you talking about?
Yeah, it's tears of joy. Just happy for them. Yeah, but
our VHS tape was broken or something, and we never got to see the ending of it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this is kind of a rite of passage, right? For kids growing up. I imagine they make a lot of kids watch this. So what is your non-spoiler reaction to this one?
I remembered liking it as a kid, and those fond feelings came back, and I kind of enjoyed this one. It was nice to revisit this one.
Right.
Especially after the Herbie stuff you guys put through. Because my God.
What are you talking about, Andy?
Oh, I think you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Just have a good time, Andy. What's wrong with you?
The Bonanza, Robert. The Bonanza. Okay, well, speaking of Robert, you have Act 1. Please introduce us to Old Yeller.
Old Yeller was a fighter, a rootin' tootin' fighter. In any scrap he knew just what to do. A rough and ready feller, although his coat was yeller, his bold Texas heart was true blue.
Dear Yeller, come back Yeller, best doggone dog in the West. Dear Yeller, come back Yeller, best doggone dog in the West. Best doggone dog in
Distributed by Buena Vista Film Distribution Company Incorporated, our old friend. Greeting us as always. We fade up from black to Golden Oak Ranch with an interesting yellow script font, Walt Disney Presents. And it's the mother from Swiss Family Robinson, Dorothy McGuire, as Michael pointed out earlier, and Mr. Daniel Boone himself, a.k.a. Fess Parker. Man, I can't wait to see Fess light up the screen for the next hour and 20 minutes with his rugged manliness. This is going to be good. I can already tell. As soon as the credits fade, a large, muscular yellow Labrador jaunts over the ridge, and we're treated to a very Disney song, as we talked about earlier, about our hero, Old Yeller, best doggone dog in the West. And who do we see in the opening credits joining Dorothy McGuire? Well, it's Tommy Kirk and Moochie in their big screen debuts. Okay, so I'm all in now. We got Ma Robinson, we got Tommy, we got Moochie, we got Fess. I'll add here that we get some barking here, some Foley barking, and it sounds an awful lot like Pluto. Historian, can you confirm or deny that? I can't remember the voice actor who did Pluto. I believe he did he do Goofy as well? Was that
No, it wasn't the same guy, but I bet Jimmy McDonald, who was the studio effects guy, sound effects guy, that was probably him. I would
Have to be. Yeah.
I would guess, yeah.
So I thought it sounded just like Pluto, but maybe it wasn't. But
I'd like to say while we're on the Foley, that gunshot sound effect that you would hear several times is Disney stock. I feel like it was
Yes.
used in Pirates of the Caribbean and you name it. Swiss
Yeah.
Family Robinson, probably. Yeah. It's just always the same. It's like the Wilhelm scream of Disney guns.
as the credits continue to roll, Yeller starts chasing a rabbit, and PETA is not happy. Yeller corners the rabbit in a thicket, and then suddenly a flock of pheasants erupts from the bushes, and the rabbit oddly emerges from behind the bushes. Now, having seen rabbits hide in thickets in my life, I can tell you with that rabbit ain't coming out if there's a dog sitting out there.
You seen a lot of rabbits hiding in thickets, Robert?
I have. I've spent some time up in the mountains, and my dog, who maybe I've mentioned on this podcast before, her name was Marble.
Marble would chase
Marble
rabbits.
ran into a thicket after a rabbit one time and got her rear end whipped by that rabbit.
There you go.
And the bushes started shaking.
Oh man, I believe it.
And then poor old Marble came running out of there with her tail between her legs. So I don't know what happened, but it wasn't good on her end. So
I just want to know who at Disney was their job to hide in the bush and throw out the birds, because those birds were clearly like thrown out.
I put this in my notes here. Like, you see the rabbit, and he just sort of like gets tossed up in the air and then takes off running. So there was clearly somebody on the other side of the bushes throwing the rabbit back into the shot. But luckily for the rabbit, Yeller didn't notice, and the rabbit was safe. And PETA breathes a sigh of relief.
For now. But
there's going to be more. Yeller sees a homestead, but decides to hide as Moochie and Tommy, or Travis, roll up. I'm going to just refer to Moochie as Moochie throughout this movie.
Although you gotta give it up that his name is really great, Arliss.
That is
really great name.
A perfect
But,
name.
I've never heard another Arliss.
I condone the Moochie switching. I mean, we got to keep it clear.
Yeah.
Moochie is concerned that Pop is leaving with their steers. While Travis explains how money works, we find out that Papa invested in Confederate money. Whoops.
Johnny Reb.
I would assume the family was a little short on cash now as a result of that.
You know, right off the bat, Moochie's just really moochieing hard. What's money? What are we doing? What's going on? What is Confederate?
I wrote the same thing. I said Moochie is the exact same in this movie as he was in Swiss Family Robinson.
He's typecast.
I
know just the guy to get.
I just wrote Moochie be moochin'.
Inside the house, Fess Parker, aka Papa, is saying goodbye to Dorothy or Mother, and Papa is dripping with masculinity with a classy mustache and vest and a very, very well manicured hair.
Too well manicured, because everyone else looks kind of rough, and he looks like he stepped out of the parlor.
Man, he's like he's beyond smolder. He's like furrowed. He's just like, yeah, like you said, he's dripping masculinity. He's just like, I feel like he's gonna like tear apart those he loves because he's so strong.
he's explaining why they need money and that he's going to be gone for 3 to 4 months, and he's going to buy mother a nice dress when he gets back. For the first time, they're going to be able to buy things. So they've just been living off the land, I guess, since the Civil War came to a halting end. And all that Confederate money became worthless.
Yeah, all his money's tied up in Jefferson Davis's fund.
Moochie's upset that Papa's leaving, and Papa explains that the Injuns will scalp him for sure if he came along. So that's a little cringeworthy. But anyway, Moochie decides that he needs to stay and look after the farm. Fess gives Travis instructions on, or Papa gives Travis instructions on as he rides off to meet up with the cattle drive. Keep after the corn. It's a man-sized job, he says. Travis asks for a horse when he comes back, and Papa tells him he needs a dog first. They have a gentleman's agreement that if he takes care of the farm and acts like a man and plays the man's part, he'll get him a man's horse. So there's a lot of masculinity going on here.
That's right. That's right. Man, their setup is pretty great, though. It's a pretty impressive little cabin and location they're on here.
Yeah, I was thinking that too.
It's really pretty.
Yeah,
It's beautiful.
It's really nice.
It looks like, I don't know where did you say Golden Oak Ranch?
Yeah.
But it looks like Skywalker Ranch in the background. You could see, the influence of, Phantom Menace in there. Just those rolling hills and things like that.
So with 6 minutes into the movie, Fess Parker rides off with just the clothes on his back, a bedroll, and a rifle.
That's all you need, man.
That's all you need when you have looks and swagger like that, I suppose.
Got a mustache like that.
Travis is out plowing the corn shortly after Papa's left. I'm not sure why he's plowing the corn after it's clearly been planted.
I was wondering about that too.
Yeah.
I wondered that as well. That was weird.
Maybe they have a real drainage problem in their field. Maybe he doesn't know what he's doing. I mean, maybe he didn't get taught enough.
Maybe
It's a
he's
man-sized job,
intercropping.
man.
He's planting
Intercropping.
legumes.
Yeah.
I was thinking when you grow, I grew up on a farm, and so sometimes you grow corn you do grow it in phases, whereas so that the pollination and those kinds of things. And so that's the only thing I could think of that he was doing. Otherwise, I was like, why is he doing that? And he's also doing it very dangerously.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm like in the farming community I grew up in, that lots of times they did use mules to still do some of the plowing, and you would hear tales of all the times of people getting dragged, very much similar to the way Tommy gets dragged here in a little bit. But yeah, it's they tell you things not to do. Yeah,
This is another thing. We talk about PETA. Is there like a child PETA? Because there's some real stuff in Old Yeller. I mean,
Yeah.
some real stuff we got going on with the child actors.
and they're just warming him up for Swiss Family Robinson.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
all they're like. All right, get ready.
Toughen him up.
Suddenly, Yeller comes over the hill and chasing varmints again. Rabbit runs between the mule's legs, and Yeller does too, and legitimately startling the mule, I might add. Like, this is not like the mule jumps. Like, it does not like this. So, PETA, you know who to call.
How are we doing on our animal acting right now, Robert? I need to check in with you regularly.
I was impressed with what was his name, Spike or Butch or the dog's the real name of the dog.
Spike.
Spike. Okay, yes. Well, he should have been Butch. I mean,
Hey, Butch.
that dog was he was all man. He was. Anyway, enough of that. But yes, he's doing pretty good. I was impressed with his acting chops.
Better than what was the name of that dog in Natty Gann?
Jeb,
Yeah, so you're better than Jeb, huh?
Hack.
way better than Jeb.
Jeb ain't nothing, man.
So, the mule jumps, and Travis hangs on for dear life as the mule takes off, dragging Travis. I'm hoping that's a stunt double. I mean, there's at one point we get a close up of Travis being dragged, the actor Tommy Kirk. Then he jumps up, and the mule just rips out maybe 20 yards of fencing, maybe more. And Papa hadn't been gone long, and things are already starting to come apart.
It's not a good first day or whatever, first episode for old Trav.
Travis, distraught by the mess the mule's made, turns his anger onto Yeller and starts chucking fistfuls of rocks at him. The dog flees. Travis declares, "That old dog better not come around here while I got me a gun in my hands."
It kind of sums up his southern accent chops right there. It's kind of something.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we're gonna get into that some more later, because some of the southern accents in this movie are a little rough. But Moochie comes rolling in after a hard day of mooching on the homestead. He notices the tore up fence. Travis says an old stray dog did it.
But you hear what Mooch says, right? She says, "Where have you been?" And he says, "I've been bear hunting."
Yeah.
And I love that. I was like, that's exactly what Moochie would be doing.
I just love that Moochie.
They probably had a whole scene set up for him. They couldn't find him.
Yeah, it's true. Moochie just comes and goes as he pleases, apparently, because it's like nighttime, and he just rolls on in.
They'd already eaten some. I mean, Travis at least had, and
Moochie be mooching.
Moochie be mooching, man. So Moochie gets all excited when he hears there's a dog around. Mother asks what Moochie has in his pocket, and he pulls out an obviously fake lizard. She makes him get rid of it along with everything else, which prompts Moochie to reveal a live frog and a live snake. Which Dorothy, I will commend her for. She grabs that snake and, come on. I'll tell you what, I was impressed with her acting and her character in this whole movie. She did a good job with it.
I'll tell you what I was impressed with is that cornbread they were serving. That made me hungry.
Cornbread is a major character in this movie.
Yeah,
let me tell you what. And I was jealous every time.
Truly.
Mama wishes they had a dog like old Belle. The old Belle wouldn't let Travis get near anything harmful. Belle would have made short work of that old Yeller stray too, according to Travis. Travis sits there and reminisces about Belle for a minute. Old Belle, if you want to. So must be a theme about naming your dog old with something. You suppose they found Belle in a bale of hay or something? I don't know. It seems like a weird name for a dog.
It is. It's a different time, man.
Well, they did name her Kid Arliss. So
I made my cat
a big fan of that show.
Little Andy. So there you go.
That's true. That's a true story.
Yes, for our listeners, I have a cat named after the big Andy called Little Andy. So, but not old Andy. The sun rises over Golden Oak Ranch, and Travis is out gathering firewood. Travis goes out and gets some meat curing outside. Again, seems risky to have a big hunk of meat hanging outside for things like, I don't know, yellow dogs and or bears to find. But, well, Yeller had wolfed down that side of Midland meat, as they called it. I don't know what Midland meat is. Andy, do you know what Midland meat is?
I'd never heard that term before.
I don't. Yeah, I should have looked it up, but I didn't. But Travis has had enough of that dog. He's going to go whack old Yeller upside the head. But Moochie intervenes. A poorly choreographed fight breaks out. It kind of reminded me of the scene from Star Trek where Kirk fights the big lizard.
Oh, the Gorn, yeah.
Yeah. It was very much in that this sort of whack, and they're like hitting each other with sticks. But Mother comes out, she breaks it up. Travis ain't having it, but Mother thinks they should keep him around, keep old Yeller around, and Moochie is all on board. Travis exclaims, "We're not going to keep that ugly old Yeller dog after what he done." Moochie runs off with Yeller, but Travis still doesn't want him. Travis goes on the hunt to get a deer since Yeller ate the middling meat.
I thought that was funny. That I like that Mom was like, "Yeah, after breakfast, you just go get us a deer."
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
No problem. It's like a kid.
Travis finds himself a nice cozy spot to wait downwind, mind you. So he checked to make sure he wasn't going to give his scent, going to give away to the deer, and waits for a deer to come out. And Mama deer and fawn jump out of the thicket. Travis draws a beat, but Bambi's safe this time. So is Mama. So Travis is too much of a sportsman to take down a mom deer, so I applaud him for that. So does PETA. While the deer drink by the water's edge, Travis is amused by some nice stock footage of chipmunks playing. Meanwhile, Bambi's dad strolls out for a drink. Travis almost misses seeing him, but he sees him, draws a beat, and pow, we cut right before he pulls the trigger.
I was curious. I wonder what the the direction was given to Tommy while he's like, "All right, you're supposed to be looking at chipmunks over here," because his reaction, his little acting during that was kind of stiff, and you know what I'm talking about. You know, they're just like, "Okay, react to this." Yeah.
Looking at off-camera antics.
I will say, to your point, Robert, the deer's acting behind him, I was so impressed. It's like such a neat shot where the deer just like walks up and is like in the background of like, I'm just a deer hanging out. I was like, that's pretty clever shot.
Like there was a green screen or something, maybe.
Right. Yeah.
Couldn't. It looked a little fake, but if it was fake, I mean, it was still very believable. It was on the edge. But yeah. So back at the homestead, Travis returns with Bambi's dad slung over old Jumper, the mule, while Moochie and Yeller are playing in the drinking water, which I think we've already mentioned kind of grosses me out a little bit and probably grossed you all out too. So.
Yeah, don't do that. That's come on.
When
dude.
they're calling it out in a movie from the 50s, you know it's pretty gross.
Travis throws a rock at old Yeller, telling them to get out of the drinking water. So Travis gets it. I love Moochie's line here. "Quit rocking my dog."
Man, the chunkin' rocks.
Chunkin' rocks.
They were not messing around, you know? They're like
No.
pretty close to the dog and each other. It's pretty crazy.
And Moochie's got an arm.
Oh, yeah. I mean, does that surprise you?
No,
Yeah.
it doesn't surprise me one bit. He's got a cannon.
Mama breaks up the fight again and instills her wisdom upon the situation. And once again, Travis turns his anger towards old Yeller, who's getting off scot-free.
A lot of injustice in this world, Travis. You got a lot to learn.
He's learning a lot about being a man right now.
It's a man-sized job.
Man.
That night, Travis is hanging up Bambi's dad to cure, and he warns old Yeller, if he touches this meat, he'll shoot him right between the eyes. He then hangs that meat so Yeller can get it easily, tempting him, saying, "Come on, it's right here. Look, it's easy. It's right here. Do it. Come on, you got this. Give me a reason to kill you. It's right here." The next morning, Travis gets up to find the meat still hanging there and old Yeller waiting patiently.
This dog knows more than we give him credit for.
This dog he's on the up and up, man. Travis heads out to start mending the fences. But will last night's good deed mend the broken fence in Travis and old Yeller's relationship? I don't know. While Travis and Mother are out breaking their backs, fallen trees for the fences, Moochie's in there goofing off in the watering hole again, trying to noodle him a catfish.
I just picture Walt in the dailies, like just guffawing, like eating his chili and beans, like his Hormel chili, and just like dying at Moochie while he lights another cigarette, you know.
This kid's got it. I love this
best.
kid. Man, Moochie was up for anything, apparently.
I mean, he was game, that's for sure.
Before long, Moochie's in the drink, and Old Yeller grabs a catfish.
And that music cue right there was really great, by the way, for those of you scoring at home.
With a cart full of wood for fencing. And by the way, I feel like Moochie's kind of at the age where he can at least help. Like, he's just getting like just to go mooch around.
Moochie be mooching.
Like, he's not like, I mean, that's no knock on Moochie as a person. It's more of the writing of the character.
There's got to be a chore for a kid. Yeah.
Something he could have been doing.
Get some firewood at least, for crying out loud.
Yeah, I think his mom is probably a fault of her character that
Oh,
she's not making him do something.
It's on Ma, for sure.
Yeah, he's the baby.
She is baby and
she's
Moochie
protecting
for
him.
sure.
She's pretty wise to Moochie. Maybe she's tried, and it's just easier if we just let him.
It's probably,
Maybe it's safer. It's just
Probably true.
It's just safer for everyone to not let Mooch do anything.
got your firewood, Ma. A bunch of snakes.
He's cut his arm off.
Well, let's see here. So with a cart full of wood for fencing, Moochie has moved on from catfish noodling and is going to go wrestle him a bear.
This is super shades of Swiss Family Robinson elephant. Like,
What is it with Moochie and animals? Why do they keep putting them together? I guess it's just his. They're like, all right, they know that this works well for this actor.
again, I just imagine Walt Disney being like, "Hey, put the kid with some animals. Let's get this going. Good bits."
Old Moochie's got himself a baby bar. Mama hears, Mama Bear shows up, of course, and she ain't happy. But Moochie ain't letting go of that baby bar.
It's a weird thing to write into this movie.
Yeah, very weird.
Yeah, because Mama Bar is bearing down on Moochie. And he's just kind of, I don't know if he's like frozen in fear or if he's just like, I'm going down with the ship because I'm keeping his bear.
How has Moochie survived to this point is my question. Like, how is he alive? If this is like his everyday, how is he still alive in the frontier world?
It's going to be the bacteria that gets him from that dirty water, you know, in the end.
Cholera.
Then out of nowhere, Old Yeller slams into the bear and a fight breaks out. Like a real fight. Like, this isn't, lots of close-ups and a fake tiger claw coming into the shot occasionally. No, this is a bear fighting a dog.
Yeah.
Again, shades of Swiss Family Robinson with the tiger. It's like
how they
serious.
did this, I don't know. It's probably not as impressive as the dogs fighting the tiger, but it's pretty close.
Is it the same stunt coordinator?
It's got to be. I didn't look it up.
That's a good
It's got to
question.
be. The bear rears up on its legs, which is always a little unsettling seeing a bear walking around like that.
No, you're not a fan of the circus, then, Robert?
No, that bear that you and I know up at Appalachian is.
Oh gosh, yeah, lives in my nightmares.
Yes. And did you ever see that bear?
I want to know this story. I don't remember this.
I remember it from my childhood.
There was like a stuffed brown bear, like maybe a 7 or 8 foot tall brown bear.
Oh, yeah, right in the library when you walk in. Yeah.
Michael, do you remember that from Boone?
No, I don't.
We were up there one time with family, and we went in this library, and there's this bear standing there. One time I was with Robert. I was like, I think there's this bear in the library up here. I think I've been here before.
We went and found it. I think maybe they had moved it. It made its way to the new library, but But moving on, because nobody cares about a bear at the library in App State. Travis is impressed by the bravery, and Mama is shaken up by the ordeal, bringing Moochie back to the house. Travis comes in and declares that Yeller is crazier than a bull bat. I need like a Rolodex of their sayings and their because it's a bull bat.
You should get like a randomizer on like an app, That's what it should be.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
He's a heap more dog than he had given him credit for. So that night, Travis is in bed assessing the day when Yeller pokes his head in. Travis invites him in, and immediately Yeller jumps in bed with him and Moochie. And Moochie sleeps hard, man.
That doesn't surprise me. Yeah. I bet he really did sleep hard.
He is pedal to the floor on everything he does.
We get a nice call back to the old Yeller theme, and we fade to black with Travis and old Yeller finally bonded.
There's work to be done, and the next day, Ma and Travis are out in the garden, and she talks of when her and Pa found the place. They had camped by the spring, woke up hearing the birds sing, just like today. She told him, "Jim, this is home." Just about this time, as they are reflecting, old Mr. Cersei rides up, and he is something.
Bud.
But Cersei, he's quite the talker. He's a bearded man. He's kind of got a Mike Fink vibe to him from Davy Crockett. He's like a character out of the Andy Griffith Show too.
Yes.
Oh,
But,
absolutely.
He's this kind of guy that talks a big game and is really just he too is a mooch of a different stripe. He has his daughter Elizabeth with him, who reminds me of like a Mr. Rogers puppet, like the she is so weird.
Yes.
She is
looks
so
strange.
weird. Yeah, I'm not going to stop talking about this. This is the first time I'm going to mention it. She is so weird.
She looks strange. She sounds strange. Everything about her is strange.
Yes. And so he's curious if Ma needs anything done. He's looking in on him. But he's basically there to get fed. He said he's been picked to stay home from the cattle drive to protect the women folk, and proceeds to tell a bunch of stories while spitting, doing his thing.
He goes and helps himself to the water bucket.
Well, and he pours it out and asks Elizabeth to get some fresh because it's not any good.
Because they've been hanging too long.
Been hanging too long.
Yeah. I like
Little
that.
does he know that Moochie's dirty trousers have been wiping in that water all night. So he speaks of a thief around stealing meat out of smokehouses and bread off windowsills. Travis suggests it may be a varmint. But Mr. Cersei says, "Ain't no varmint that clever," as Moochie continues to do, I'm hungry, what am I gonna eat? I'm hungry."
He's squirming.
And Cersei uses this as a way into a free meal from Ma. Mr. Cersei's daughter Elizabeth goes down with Travis to pick corn, and Travis realizes raccoons have been in the corn. Elizabeth reveals that she knows that Old Yeller is actually the thief that Mr. Cersei spoke of, but she ain't gonna tell because evidently Old Yeller is siring Miss Pritchett's dog's pup. So he's not only getting into the bread in town, if you know what I'm saying. Travis, in a show of gratitude, gives her an arrowhead that he found. And she swears again that I'll never, ever tell.
Oh, God. That accent, man.
She is weird, man. She's weird, I'm telling you.
I feel sorry for her because the poor girl, like in real life, is like right there on the edge of puberty, and she's so in that awkward stage. And I just was like, oh man, I bet she cringes at the thought of looking back at this movie.
She is like the Cold War. She's like, it was in somebody's like fallout shelter or something. That's what I think of. And now luckily we get to have the pleasure of watching Mr. Cersei eat and talk while he eats, which is just why.
He's so
I guess
greasy.
they're painting a picture. He is very greasy. And just jealous of that meal.
More cornbread, though.
I know. Oh,
Gotta get some
cornbread.
cornbread.
Uncredited SAG card for cornbread. Soon enough, Cersei wipes his hands on the table and is off, which is, bold move, saying he will check in on them soon enough. After he leaves, Travis reveals that he knows Old Yeller's been stealing and is concerned he will get shot. Travis calls Yeller in and says, "I keep you so dang busy you won't be able to get out."
Well, let me back up because you missed a couple of old Bud goes on and on several times about old hogs, how to catch a hog and how to get treed by hogs, and
Yeah, there's a lot of hog knowledge drop.
he brings a lot of hog. And then again, to go back to the Wayne's World scene, the random guy just gives a whole bunch of just weird knowledge out of nowhere. I guess kept thinking back to that, going, it's an awful lot of discussions about hogs, almost like we need to remember something here.
Yeah.
I would have to say that I needed to have the closed captioning on because I had a real hard time understanding old Bud. I was like, what does he say? And I'm not cosmopolitan by any means, but I was like, what in the world? What?
Any pay under the day.
Yeah, that's right.
As a little side note, Robert and I have a friend who has a really thick accent, and sometimes they would say something like that, and Robert would ask me to translate.
What did they just say?
Oh, well, that night, Travis stops Yeller from leaving the field. They're laying in the field in order to chase off the raccoons, and it's a kind of funny animal acting there, where Yeller's sheepishly trying to get out. Travis has a someday or somewhere out there moment where he's wondering if his father's looking up at the same sky. Says he wishes he was with him as he falls asleep. But
My notes right here. I thought surely when he fell asleep, they kicked around the idea of doing a big show-stopping dream sequence song. I was like, they could totally have plugged one in right there with him, running around and singing the Old Yeller song.
well, I mean, what comes next is almost as good as a dream sequence. You've got an army of raccoons moving in.
That's a ton of raccoons.
Real entertainment.
It's like raccoon Fantasia. Because there's like music playing and like all these raccoons flooding in.
That's we need to make some gifs out of the raccoon shenanigans or something. I don't know. But the crew of raccoons shows up immediately after they fall asleep and begin to go about their business, taking the corn. A few of them get greedy and start mixing it up, and that finally wakes up Yeller and Travis, and Yeller gives chase successfully. Keeping them busy, folks. Keeping the raccoons at bay.
Yeller's not real observant, man, because they would have been making a lot of racket.
Yeah, like
They were definitely making a lot of noise. That's
I
for
was
sure.
thinking that. I was like, no dog sleeps that heavily. Like,
Yeah.
most dogs would have been like, at any hint of noise, would have been up.
Right. That's right. Next day, Ma tells Travis that Rose, one of the Longhorns, never came up and has probably had a calf. So Travis and Yeller go off to look for her.
She'll be on the fight. Be careful.
They find Rose and the calf, and Yeller goes trying to rile her. As Travis grabs the calf, Rose does get riled and charges Travis, to which old Yeller gives chase and tackles this cow multiple times. How do they do this one?
Yeah.
That didn't look. There was something there. I needed to go back and rewatch it.
There's no way.
A tripwire? It's like, I don't know.
Because it's real quick. If you notice.
Like they threw like a stuffed dog at her head or something, and then because the cut was so fast.
Yeah, and it was kind of behind bushes too.
And there were bushes
Yeah.
in the way, so you couldn't really see. So it was a fake dog that they were whacking that poor cow in the head with.
Maybe they had a booby trap too for the cow. It was,
Yeah.
whoop. It was a odd
Intense.
scene.
Again, how is
Yeah.
anyone alive when your own cow tries to kill you? How does anyone survive?
It's rough.
Farm days.
Rough world, man. That's
On
right.
the fight, man.
Pioneers, man. That's how our country got made. On the backs of Travises everywhere and Moochies. Travis grabs the calf and Yeller escorts Rose back home. Rose is tied up and not doing well, and this scene is kind of uncomfortable to watch. She's fighting off the rope as Travis tries to milk her. And man, she kicks that bucket pretty close to old Trav.
Yeah.
Travis gets Yeller and tells him to hold her there. One of my favorite bits of animal acting.
Yes, so good. The cow and Yeller both.
Yeah, so Yeller just stares her down, and then Rose gives the most hilarious facial expression, like catatonic. Yeah. And indeed, Travis is successful in milking her. I mean, I'm just saying, can't you wait like a few hours? Just let Rose chill out for a second,
Yeah.
Guess they wanted that milk.
If it was a
Gotta make that
70s movie,
cornbread.
they would have like freeze framed on the split second Rose's eye was doing that and had a what sound effect.
A timpani.
Yeah. Oh, so now a stranger shows up named Bern Sanderson, which is just
Yes.
Amazing.
the look and name is just incredible. Bern Sanderson. He said that Cersei told him they had a yellow dog at the house that matches the description of one that belonged to him. Travis begrudgingly goes to get Yeller, and here comes Moochie riding Yeller up to the house. Sanderson notes that this crew doesn't have much in the way of protection and offers a loan of Yeller, which Ma turns down. As Yeller and Sanderson take off, Arliss goes full Moochie and starts throwing rocks.
Always
chunking
the
rocks.
Chunking.
That's my dog! That's my dog! And old Bern Sanderson's horse throws him off. And he reconsiders. So this is a great little moment. He said, let me talk to this boy, calls out Moochie in a mock serious tone. There's a great shot of him standing there like he's getting ready to draw his gun, just in silhouette.
It was cracking me up. Like I was dying laughing at the camera work.
And they drag it out for a long while. It's good. But Sanderson looks in Moochie's pocket and finds a horny toad. To which Moochie says, "What about my dog?" Sanderson.
This is Moochie to 11 here.
Oh yeah.
He's like, we're at peak Moochie.
Absolutely. Sanderson suggests a swap for the horny toad, but that's not quite enough. He indeed is also in it for the food, so he asks Moochie to help him convince his ma to give him a woman-fed meal in addition to the toad. Man, she must be a great cook. It's a different time.
Pretty good cook.
Yeah, I mean, cornbread.
Do your impersonation there, Jeff.
Heard about that cornbread.
What my impersonation? What?
Of Moochie asking Mom about the food.
I don't know.
Well, Ma, you gonna feed him? Like everything's screaming. Like there's no like let me go calmly ask my mother. He just turns and Ma.
I have a personal connection to this scene because I had a similar thing happen to me when I was a kid. When the local school, my mom was a teacher at the local elementary school, and I remember being there, and we had a stray had been hanging around for a while, and I really just kind of had a connection with it, and I asked my mom if we could take him, and she's like, sure, and because no one had come to claim him, and he'd just been a stray, and he didn't have a collar or anything. And then a few days later, a man showed up at the school who had a picture that looked just like him, and he came and was asking around, and they said, yeah, that they had talked to my mom, and she told him where we lived. It was a different time. She said, yeah, go out to our house, and that's where he is. And so he went out there, and he ended up not taking him. He said that he felt that he was happy and where he was, and so I ended up keeping the dog. So
deep,
nice.
man.
Wow. Yeah,
that dude is a serious dude. Wow.
Yeah.
Another Bern Sanderson lives and breathes among us.
Yeah.
Let me talk to this boy Andy.
I was like, no, you ain't taking my dog.
You gonna feed him?
And I, strangely enough, I had a horny toad in my pocket.
I will say that, yeah, when he goes, like, he unilaterally goes for Moochie's pockets. I'm like, man, don't stick your hand in Moochie's pockets. You don't know what's in there.
Yeah, you're asking for a heap of trouble there, Mr. Sanderson.
Scorpions.
Yeah.
Nobody
Ants.
gets out of Moochie's pockets alive. So, after the woman-fed meal, Travis walks Sanderson to his horse, Man Talk, where Sanderson confides to Travis that there's a bad case of hydrophobia going around. Sanderson has shot several critters. Travis says he doesn't know if he can tell if anything has it. As Travis is rounding up hogs soon, Sanderson says to watch out for the critters you can't really tell have it, because once them that have it bite you, it's too late. Sanderson gently drops the horny toad and takes off. What a dude. Bern Sanderson. Maybe we all be a little bit more like Bern,
I love the quote there, though. This is the way men talk to one another.
I didn't realize, I looked up Chuck Connors, just out of curiosity. I didn't realize he played Major League Baseball and was in the NBA.
No way.
Yeah, he played for the Celtics, I think, which blew my mind.
Serious time to play for the Celtics.
Yeah.
Wow.
What a guy.
Wow. So as Sanderson takes off without a horny toad, without his dog, we fade out, head to Act 3. No one will be admitted after the start of Act 3.
Hog tracks, Yeller. Get 'em, boy.
So, Travis and Yeller go off to find the hogs of which we've heard oh so very much. They find them in a mud pit, being generally unpleasant and rooting around. Hogs just, not good. Yeller barges right in, as is his wont, and starts a stampede, leading the pigs into a dead-end canyon where he holds them at bay. This is more of, like we said, Swiss Family Robinson shenanigans at work. Lots of, and I will say Yakima Canute, who was this second AD on this, did work on Swiss Family Robinson. And, as we've seen with Travis being dragged, Canute was famously responsible for the chariot scene in Ben-Hur, which perhaps inspired Travis getting dragged. He also did Spartacus, the action in Spartacus. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah, big pedigree for all this animal combat going on. While Yeller is holding the pigs in place, Travis works his way into a tree overhead with a rope. His plan is to pick the hogs off one by one. He's marking them and lowering them back down. And Yeller helpfully brings the hogs over under the tree, and Travis tries to lasso them. So he ropes a little way.
Wait.
And
Sorry. Why is he wanting to mark them?
I guess like
I don't
branding
know
a
the correct-
cow. And that's what.
But what was it? Their hogs though?
No, they're wild hogs.
They look like boar. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. I don't know the rules of the West.
Conservation?
But, yeah. He's tracking their migration.
That's what he's
Whatever the reason, I mean, like, yeah.
tagging.
I mean,
Biological studies.
Again, I said it was disturbing, but it's also kind of riveting. I mean, it's just like high drama, high tension. I was just like, oh my gosh, what is going to happen? Like, it's usually these movies don't take me into that realm, mostly because I've seen them a ton and I've seen this less, but man,
Yeah.
it was like, what is going to happen
Yeah.
here?
I agree. This is one of those scenes that I remembered vividly from 30 years ago when I watched it. I was like, oh, I know exactly what's getting ready to happen.
Yeah.
I had been wondering what, because they had talked before about, have you marked the hogs yet? Have you marked the hogs yet? I had no idea what that meant. So apparently he cuts their ears in certain ways that, brands them. So that's what he's doing. And he gets a little one, like I said, marks it, drops it back in, and he goes to get another, but gets pulled out of the tree into the hog pile. The hogs, which, if you excuse the expression, go ham on him. Yeller
Nice.
comes to the rescue, but not before one of the hogs totally shreds his leg in a very aggro, unpleasant way. He manages to get away thanks to Yeller. He wraps it with a tourniquet, only to discover that Yeller too has been injured, and he's cut up pretty bad.
Yeah.
Can I just say, I mean, I hate to second guess the decision making here, but should Travis have probably had somebody else go with him? I mean, they could have found somebody, right?
Yeah,
You have thought so.
have Elizabeth go.
Seems like-
Elizabeth would be game for it.
Yeah.
Oh, the hog's gonna get you. Watch out.
Watch out, Travis.
Travis, the hog's gonna get you.
I'm gonna cry. I've never seen anything like this. That's so bad.
Spot on.
Oh man, Yeller's cut up pretty bad. Travis's wraps him up with his shirt, but Yeller's in a bad way, and so Travis makes a hiding place for the dog in the cliffside, so he can sort of hide out while Travis goes to get Mom for help. Back at the homestead, Mom is wrapping Travis's leg, and she tries to get him in bed, but Travis says that he promised Yeller he would come back for him, and he's going back no matter what. So the whole gang, Mom, Travis, and Arliss, all set off with the donkey to get Yeller. The buzzards are circling, but Yeller's still in his hidey hole. Mom sends Arliss off to find a lizard to distract him while they tend to Yeller. But I understand wanting to get him out of the way, but he's seen just constant death and destruction nonstop, so why stop now? But whatever.
And we know there's hogs in the area.
Yeah, true. Go off and play while the hogs are running around. Yeah.
As you sent Moochie to tag the hogs, really. I keep second guessing this decision, but Moochie would have been the person.
He would just
right?
ride them. He wouldn't get up in the tree.
Yeah.
He'd just ride.
Hey, look at that.
Apparently, Yeller's wound is very bad. We can't even see it. It's so bad. Mom says she's going to have to stitch Yeller up with the hair from the horse's tail, which I thought was very industrious. I thought that was clever.
Ma knows what's up, man.
And she had a needle with her.
Yeah.
I guess they just all carried needles with them.
Never leave home.
Little Old West knowledge. Yeah, she goes to work. Yeller seems remarkably chill about the whole thing. He's they have to avoid him licking them as she's stitching him up. So he's okay with it. Travis builds a litter for the dog while Moochie comes back with his lizard. And Mom says that they're going to play a game where Yeller is sick and Arliss has to take care of him. Arliss buys it somehow. Comes up with a story about them both being sick Indians. and Yeller is the sickest Indian of all. They climb in the back of the litter, and Travis tries to mount the mule and lead them home. Back at home, Mom is putting together some home remedies for Travis, while Arliss is mooching out all over the place, big time. This may be the peak Moochie of the whole movie.
Yeah.
He's like,
is this when he was like, go ahead.
well, yeah, he's like shooting her in the face with some like roots. He's like,
it's like shoving the wood in her face.
Pew, pew, pew. But he's like laser gunning her or something.
This is like the prototype for kids and future generations. Just like,
yeah. She's got prickly pear roots, and she's making some mash for Travis's wound, and he's got the roots.
Mom, man, come on.
Yeah, she knows what's up.
Yeah, she's a tough woman.
They hear Mr. Cersei call from outside the house, which of course is the last thing that they need. Elizabeth has brought one of her dog's puppies, who's just a cute little bit of yellow floof. She's brought it for Travis. Arliss says that Travis and the dog are sick because of getting cut up by hogs, and this catches Mr. Cersei's ear. He's interested in this. So Elizabeth takes the puppy, which is adorable, to Travis, who's a real jerk about it.
Yep.
He is not into it at all. The puppy and Yeller seem to hit it off. They hit it off really well, but Travis is being kind of a tool, and Elizabeth takes off crying because she is clearly thirsty for Travis. She takes off crying and just gives the pup to Arliss. So she's like, here, you
Can I just say that watching her cry at that point, of all the uncomfortable moments in this movie, that is the top.
Yeah.
It was like so weird. Just that is all.
Mom and Cersei come in with the prickly pear root poultice that they've made for Travis's leg. We don't see the wound, but apparently it's pretty nasty. It said it's down to the bone, which is just no, thank you. Cersei, who can't shut up, gets Mom worried about rabies and starts talking about how everything around lately seems to have it. He starts talking about the symptoms and described how an uncle of his got it once and eventually died from the slobbering fits.
That's a good name for a band.
What genre are they, though?
It's like a Gen X band. It has to be like a Gen X,
Post-punk.
like, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, slobbering fits. Mom has had enough, and she throws Cersei out and kind of reads him the riot act about being useless. We didn't talk about the first time he visited. Like, the best part was her like slow burn, because she is not a fan.
Yeah.
And she just kind of has a slow burn in the background of his entire scene of being irritated with him. But this time she's not having it, throws him out and calls him out. And his version of helping is trying to leave Elizabeth behind to plow the cornfield.
Please no.
And which he does while Mom fumes. And so now Elizabeth like lives there now just because. Mom is worried about rabies, but Travis says he knows that the hogs weren't mad and he'll be fine. Time passes, and Mom, Elizabeth, and Arliss have harvested a huge wagon of corn, like a comedically large amount of corn. They're having a chat about how Rose the cow has been acting weird and speculate about what's wrong with her. Just then, the cow bolts on screen and totally falls out. And Travis realizes she's got the hydrophobia.
Another uncomfortable scene.
Another uncomfortable scene with Rose the cow.
Poor Rose.
Rose really took the brunt of this movie.
Rose has
In a
got
big
the
way.
pratfalls down, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah, Rose was the Kramer of her age.
Stunt cow.
Hey, y'all need my stunt cow to come down? Here we go. $200 should be fine.
Should be fine. Do whatever you want with her.
She's game. Travis goes off and gets his rifle and kills the cow quick. Mom is like, well, let's get busy and burn the carcass. Mom is all business. They have their Darth Vader pyre set up for the cow.
Yeah.
Elizabeth and Mom are hauling trees around to throw on the fire, which was impressive. They've been out cutting down trees. Travis is watching. He's still kind of laid up. And Arliss is asking him questions about why they killed the cow and if it'll go to cow heaven. Because
Shut up, Arliss.
Arliss just...
Go play with the fire, Arliss. Come on.
Yeah, he would totally be trying to jump over that
That's what I'm saying.
Arliss?
Here's a match.
Yeah.
Go play with the fire.
Arliss continues to ask about heaven while he and the puppy eat out of the same bowl, which is quite a thing to film. And
Hi, Mooch.
Hi, Mooch. Just eating out of that puppy bowl. Suddenly, Mom calls for Travis to bring the gun. There's a wolf on the prowl, and he's fighting Yeller. And man, they are really going at it in grand tradition.
Again, yeah.
Travis takes the shot and manages to pick off the wolf and miss Yeller. Yeller has superficial wounds, but he isn't hurt too bad, or so we think.
Can I just say that Ma knows what's up because she says that no wolf would attack, this situation. Yeah. Not even a loafer wolf, which is the name of my future band, Loafer Wolf.
Loafer Wolf. That's the name of my shoe brand.
Yeah.
You tired of being on your feet all day? Get you a pair of loafer wolves.
Like hush puppies, but loafer wolves. Your dogs are barking.
Yeah, that's perfect. Oh, guys, we just came up with something.
Trademark for anybody who's listening. Yeah. She said no wolf in the world would jump him at the fire if it was in its right mind. It was a mad dog. And she just straight up offers to shoot Yeller right then and there if Travis can't. But
so hardened.
He refuses to believe it. He says they can't shoot Yeller if they don't know for sure. He'll pin him up. They'll wait and see. So they do. 2 weeks later, Yeller's still in his pen, but seems just fine. He's happy. Mom says sometimes it takes a month to tell, though, so they just have to wait. Time passes, and Arliss is counting down the days until Yeller can go free, but Travis is heading out to feed the dog and finds him in his pen, snarling ominously.
I mean, can I say, I know we all know what's going to happen, but that's a real pump fake. It's like a real pleasant tone.
Yeah,
right
they
before
had fake
this.
you. Well, they had fake you twice with the hogs first.
Right.
And you're like, this is it. And then, nope, he's fine. And then with this, totally, he's happy he's just chowing down in his little cage. He's happy.
Yeah, I thought the hogs, I'd forgotten about the wolf scene. So I thought the hogs was going to be the end of the movie here. I thought, well, this thing's wrapping up quick. And I had to go check. And I was like, okay. So they got me, yeah.
The double head fake, yeah. It's crazy. Yeah, Yeller's snarling and clearly isn't right, but Travis won't admit what is happening. Mom realizes, of course, something's afoot and sends Arliss to bed, or she tries, because Arliss goes full Moochie and tries to set Yeller free.
Oh, man, this was rough.
Despite his, barking and snarling. This is full, Arliss, what is wrong with you? What is wrong with your brain?
How are you alive?
That's right. How are you still alive?
This is anxiety-inducing.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
This is like some of the most anxiety-filled scenes in all of Disney movies, for me at least.
Truly.
Oh, yeah. Totally. Yeah. Mom's comforting Travis inside, and they realize Arliss is gone. Mom opens the door and finds Arliss farting around the dog pen, and he almost succeeds in freeing Yeller before Mom intervenes, and man, she slams that door shut.
Just in time.
Ma! God.
And I mean, Arliss just needs a whooping at this point.
How many times do you think Mom saved old Moochie's life now?
She's a true hero.
Daily.
She's the hero of this movie.
Yeah.
Yeller's foaming at the mouth, and everybody realizes what's going on. Travis is in despair, but Mom just goes and gets the gun. She says that Yeller's suffering, and Travis knows what they have to do. He says that he knows since Yeller was his dog, he'll do it, and sure to his word, he does. I'll also note that Lisbeth is there through all of this and really must have been thrilled to have been dropped off in the middle of everything.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Dad.
Finish him off, Travis.
I got this puppy for you.
Why don't you like my puppy? I'm gonna cry.
I'm trying to shoot my dog, Elizabeth. She's like, no, take this puppy.
Take this puppy. Shoot the puppy too, Travis.
I got the I got that arrowhead if you want to shoot it with a bow and arrow.
Oh man, more time passes. Yeller's gone, but Fess is home. He rides up. He's got his extra horse for Travis, and Arliss comes running from the haystack to greet him. Mom is excited too. Man, she comes running for some of that sweet, sweet Fess sugar. She's happy. Fess has a big old bag of Yankee money. He's got a dress and some shoes for Mom. He's got a big old Indian headdress for Arliss, who mooches out to 11 immediately and he just goes running down the road, whooping and hollering. Dad asks where Travis is. Mom says he and Lisbeth are off burying old Yeller. Lisbeth drew grave duty. Out on the hilltop, they've buried the dog. Lisbeth is still trying to get Travis to like the puppy, but he's still being cold about it. She just gives up and walks off. And
screw you then.
Yeah. I'm out of here.
She walked right past the dad, and they don't even acknowledge her.
It's a really weird, like, exit entrance.
You probably don't like that puppy either.
So Dad walks up. He's been briefed on the situation. They have heart to heart. That's rough, is what he says, which was a line that kind of made me laugh. He just kind of sits down and is like, that's rough. He tells Travis that he did a good job dealing with it, and now he has to just forget it and go on being a man, which is some 50s advice if I've ever heard it.
Yeah, but then after, I was impressed because right in after, he's like, I don't really mean that. It's kind of what he says.
Yeah. He's like, that sounds harsher than it is,
I thought that was kind of, kind of progressive. I mean, not really progressive, but a little bit more progressive than it. When we first said that, I was like, what?
Yeah.
And then he went on, and I was like, oh, I'm kind of impressed with the emotional, like, part of this monologue,
Yeah. No, I agree. Because he leads off with like the total, like,
just forget it,
be a man. And he's like, actually, he says, life's like that sometimes. He says, life will just haul off and knock a man flat sometimes, but it's not all like that. Can't waste the good parts fretting about the bad, because that makes it all bad. Travis doesn't completely buy it, but Dad says he should find something good to take the place of the bad. At which point I expected them to like cut away to like Lisbeth, like looking out from the bushes. Pick me.
I'll make you happy.
Anyway, Travis and Dad head off to get some dinner. Back at home, Mom's in her new dress. Puppy is being a scamp. She's yelling at the dog and gets in a brawl with Arliss before Dad intervenes. Travis picks up the puppy, gets a lick on the face. We can tell he's starting to warm up to the pup before he notices Elizabeth watching, and he kind of puts on a harsh front. Says it's time to teach the dog to learn his keep. With some more puppy kisses and a happy Elizabeth, we cut to more of Travis and Arliss playing with a growing Yeller Jr. out in the fields as the theme song plays. As they romp into the distance, it is the end.
Young Yeller is a puppy, a little old lop-eared puppy. It's plain to see he's got a family tree. The image of his pappy is frisky and he's happy, and that's how a good pup should be.
Frisky and happy, here Yeller, come back Yeller.
Best doggone dog in the West.
Here Yeller, come back Yeller.
Best doggone dog in the West.
Best doggone dog in the West.
very Lion King ending, you know? Circle of life. The song playing over again, different generation.
Yeller Jr., cute puppy.
Think about it. Yeah, I mean,
like father, like son. Think about it.
I had an issue with the quick turnaround to the acceptance of the puppy. Can I just say that?
I don't know. It's a pretty cute puppy.
It was cute. It was cute. I just, it would have been better if the puppy would have showed up like on its own accord. Why did Elizabeth have to? I mean, I'm just really bothered by the Elizabeth bringing the puppy and crying, I guess.
Well, that made it official, like Yeller bloodline.
That's true. That's true. In an era before DNA tests, we need an Elizabeth to bring in and vouch.
But still, she's shoving that puppy down his throat. She's like, "Love this puppy," and he's like, "I'm not ready to love this puppy." So I'm fair.
If you won't love this puppy, how will you ever learn to love me?
I'm the only girl around.
A good wife. I wanted to say that this movie feels like that it scarred me from rabies.
Yes.
For a long time. Like this and quicksand, rabies and quicksand.
Yes.
Were one of those things I was scared to death of as a kid, because I think of this movie and the other things that had, like probably Princess Bride or whatever. But yeah, it's just one of those hallmarks, I think.
I'm going to add to that. There was an episode of Flipper where the kids got stuck in a buoy, and I was always kind of freaked out about buoys.
Oh yeah.
Do you remember that episode?
I totally remember that.
It was yee.
World War II style buoy.
Watch out for giant buoys that kids get trapped in.
I was just scared of giant marshmallow man as a child. That was my.
Well, yeah.
And I'm going to throw in there. I was scared of being sucked up in a chocolate tube, the kid in Willy Wonka.
Golly,
that was in there too.
A lot to be afraid of.
You never know when you're going to come across a big old chocolate tube, and that'd freak you right out.
Swim in that chocolate river.
Moochie would. Can you imagine Moochie in the chocolate factory? He would have been.
He's kind of like Mike TV a little bit.
That's true.
Yeah, I could see that.
But much more than
Moochie
Mike.
would have been dead before they even got to the front door, though.
Take Augustus and Mike and put them together, and you've got Moochie there.
Yeah,
I think we should need to remake this movie with Nick Offerman as Fess's role, because I think he's the only actor that could pull it off.
I don't know. Tom Selleck.
Could, yeah, that's true. Tom Selleck could do it too. I don't know. Nick has that more of that quiet, stoic. Where I still Tom Selleck on Friends always kind of ruined me. So
Tom Selleck would sell all their reversible mortgages for Confederate money.
Oh my goodness!
What's a reversible mortgage, Travis?
Well, if you have a lot of equity in your home, Moochie.
I bought all your dad's reverse mortgages for my dad. All right. Well, this is a real change of pace for us. Can I say before we rate this thing? I mean, it's funny that we're laughing at this more than the comedies. It's kind of sick, but
well, I last year we did Journey of Natty Gann as our semifinal, and so I thought maybe we'll do another drama. It didn't put the two together that they were both dog movies, so that's why I wanted to this one as the drama pick, and but I think
dogs and drama go together.
It's true. All right, well, it's time for us to rate this film. And we do it using our 100% original rubric grading scale. Robert, what's our scale this week?
Our scale this week is going to be horny toads.
I was hoping it'd be pieces of cornbread, but horny toads it is. That's a major plot point. Let's start with plot and writing, and I'll go right to you, Robert. What do you give this? 1 to 5 horny toads for plot and writing for Old Yeller.
I didn't find a lot of things wrong with this movie. I thought it moved well. I mean, I'm going to go with a 5. I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it.
Wow.
Wow.
Whew. Have you given anything a 5 in the plot and writing?
Yeah, I think I gave Swiss Family Robinson a 5 as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, we'll go to Andy. Plot and writing.
I won't go a 5, but I will go a 4. I agree. It was a tight movie. I liked the pacing of it. I thought it moved nicely. There was no major holes that I could see. So yeah, 4 pieces, or no, 4 horny toads.
I will say, go back to that. I did joke with Jeff a little bit that some of the plot reveals were a little heavy-handed, but that's really my own. But because they just but it wasn't like, I mean, because I knew it was coming. But if I'd never seen it before, I wouldn't have picked up on it as much. But you kind of like, well, they're really hammering away at hogs and hydrophobia, and so.
Got to teach those city kids what it all means before it happens.
Right.
The soft city kids.
That's right, with their clean hands. I'll agree with Andy. I think I'm going to say 4. I have no fault with it. I thought it was really solid. I mean, I stayed engaged with it the whole time. So to me, it was just a little aim small, miss small at some point. So I'll say 4, not 5. And Michael?
That's a good criticism, the aim small, miss small, but I'll give it a 5 just because I can't think of any beef that I have with it. And like Andy said, it really moves. Like it doesn't get bogged down in anything. And even, the ultimate climactic scene that everybody knows about, man, it's over and done. They don't drag it out at all. They get it out of the way.
Bigger, like in my memory, like and darker. Like I just remember but just as my childhood memory had recorded it as just being this, I mean, really like upsettingly dark scene. And it is upsetting and dark. Don't get me wrong, but
yeah,
but you're right. It just moved, and they didn't sit there and dwell on it. And well, I
Yeah.
can't do it. Well, I gotta do it. Well, I can't. But I mean,
Yeah.
they didn't sit there and like do this whole back and forth or anything. I mean,
and no
I made
like big inspirational like speech about, but you've got to do it because blah 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 blah.
I made a lot of jokes about Walt laughing at Moochie, but it does feel like, I mean, whether or not this was an era where Walt's influence was still really felt, or if he was involved somehow in the production, it feels like the tightness of a really good Walt, Walt's eye. All right, let's move on to casting and acting. I'll throw it back to you, Michael. How many?
I'll give that was tough. I'll give it a 4. I mean, there are a few weaker links, but I think Mom is great. I think Tommy Kirk does really, really well in this, and Moochie is just Moochie's Moochie. But yeah, I'll go to 4.
I think I'll go next. I think I agree with you. I want to give it a 5 because it's just the names and how much they represent this kind of studio and everything, but it's not quite at a 5, so I'll stay at 4. And we will go to Andy next.
I think the accents kind of brought it down for me.
I agree.
And so I'm gonna have to go with a 3, but same everything you guys said, all the other stuff.
And Robert?
I'm going to go, I'm going to say almost, everything you guys said. There's no weak link. I mean, there's a few rough links, but not a weak link. Tommy, I love Tommy Kirk in this. I mean, for his first movie, to be handed a role like that, I mean, that's tough. I thought he did a great job with it. And I love Dorothy McGuire in it, too. I thought she was great.
Mm-hmm.
To go with the accents, it didn't drag it down to a 3 for me, but it kept it at a 4 for me.
All right, let's move on to production value. I'll start, and I really want to give it a 5, but this is where the aim small, miss small really hits me. I mean, I thought the location was gorgeous. The music was great. The animal stuff was great. I have no fault with it. Just the scope of the movie, I think about a Swiss Family Robinson or 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea being 5s. So I'll give it a 4. And let's go to Andy next.
Yeah, I agree completely. 4.
And Robert?
I'm going to go a little bit lower because I think it's nothing bad. They shot a lot of it outdoors. It looked like there's maybe just, I can only think of maybe 3 or 4 studio shots they did total.
Right.
And that's always a challenge to be outside. But yeah, Swiss Family Robinson's a 5. And as you pointed out, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea is a definite 5. I just don't feel like this is even in the ballpark with those movies. So I think it's going to be a 3.
And Michael?
I'll go to 4. I think, what it needed to do, it did really well. The stunt work and all that stuff was wild. And, but like you said, you got to leave room for the big, like 5-star production. So 4, I think, works.
All right. And we'll end with entertainment value. I'll start here with Robert. How many horny toads do you give it?
Yeah, there was never a moment where I wasn't connected to this movie. And, I kind of want to give it a 5, but I just, I don't. I'm gonna stick with. I'm gonna go with a 4.
All right, and Michael.
And this is a tough one. I feel the exact same way. This is perfect, like 4.5 material. Man, I'm gonna be generous and give it a 5 because I was interested the whole time. It held my attention completely. Never slows down. So yeah, good times.
Andy.
I'm going to be on the conservative side and go with a 4 because I felt like while I enjoyed it, I thought it was a movie that works well for both kids and adults, but it wasn't quite up to a 5. But I thought a strong 4.
I agree with that. Again, I wish I had a 4.5, like Michael said. I always judge for some reason entertainment on rewatchability, and I don't know how many times I would rewatch this movie because of the uncomfortable moments, but that's not, exactly. Yeah, I was entertained, so I guess straight 4s for the whole thing for me. But it's time to plug all these numbers into the computer that wore tennis shoes and see what we got. Robert, what did Old Yeller get?
Computer is spitting out its information right now, and it comes in at a 4.06.
Wow, strong.
Puts it into the 4 slot, right behind The Absent-Minded Professor, Flight of the Navigator, and Swiss Family Robinson.
That seems right. It seems like a good. We're starting to.
That works for me.
It bumps Journey of Natty Gann down into the 5 slot now.
I think it's time. I think it's time for Natty Gann to get bumped down a little bit.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. Well, we have done our, full review here. Michael, what did Leonard Maltin have to say about Old Yeller?
Leonard Maltin was a fan. He says Old Yeller is a lovely film under the able guidance of Robert Stevenson, who treats his subject with the dignity and understatement that brings out all the emotion inherent in the story. He says that in less skilled hands, the same material could have been cloying and phony. The film never sinks to that level. I agree.
Yeah, it is impressive how we've talked about how it doesn't linger and all this stuff. There are a lot of potential, dangers of this story that they navigate really well.
Oh, yeah. To go back to it again, they could have monologued forever about circle of life and all the, but they dealt with it. They let us deal with it, and they didn't have to sit there and explain why they had to shoot the dog, it taught me about death at an early age. And I remember having conversations with my mom about why do they have to do that? I don't understand. Why did they just take him to the vet? And it really, it was a big life-changing movie for me as a child.
Let me ask you guys this. As a parent, would you show this to your kid now at the ages that...
James, my oldest son, is already asking to see it because he knows we're doing a podcast about it. So I'll probably let him sit down and watch it. My youngest one, probably. They both can handle this kind of stuff, I think.
I might wait till my kids are Robert's kids' age. But yeah, I think I would. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd let my oldest watch it, but I wouldn't let my younger ones watch it yet.
Well, this is our third Moochie movie, and I've been amazed at the deep admiration for Moochie that our fans have. So much that we ruffled some feathers out there when we did Swiss Family Robinson. The Twitter sphere at medfieldfilm.com really kind of came down on us kind of hard about that. So I want to take a moment right now and I want to review our 3 Moochie movies that we've seen so far, that being Old Yeller, Swiss Family Robinson, and a very forgettable role in Babes in Toyland. I want to do a quick ranking.
Well, honorary mention for Herbie Goes Bananas for production work too.
Yeah, okay, we can throw it in for production work, but a ranking on a performance ranking for Moochie from 1 to 11, because we kept referring to, this is Moochie at 11. So in Old Yeller, for the whole scope of the movie, where would you put Moochie on a scale of 1 to 11?
I mean, to me, this sets the bar.
Always 11. When is he not
that's
11?
true. That's true.
I agree. Absolutely.
I mean, I think, but I feel like it's Swiss Family Robinson. Like he kept the needle buried.
I would say Babes in Toyland is more subtle.
I would give Swiss Family Robinson an 11, and then Babes in Toyland like a 4.
Definitely Babes in Toyland is way down. Also, his bizarre other Moochie brother in Babes in Toyland. It was like double the Moochie. He got half the Moochie energy.
Yeah, the more Moochies you have, they all share the same energy pool.
Really weird Moochie moment, because it's like they were supposed to not be charismatic. So it seems like he just like transformed into this like blob, and it was like, yeah. Clearly, Moochie does the one thing. It'd be interesting to watch Toby Tyler sometime and see how that holds up in the Moochie scale. He's got We've got lots more Moochie coming down the pipe for us all. So this will not be the last. Oh, I mean, it's impossible for it to be.
Yeah,
too much Moochie.
We hope we did. To the fans, we hope we did Moochie a justice in this one. We did that. We didn't come down too hard on the poor guy.
Oh, we're just going to say what we say about Moochie, we can't help it. So we're really winding in on the season's almost over. Robert, what's the next movie?
So, this is a big one. If I was to pick a defining movie from my childhood that I just was truly amazed by from right out of the gate, and I remain
Terminator.
Yeah, we're going to do Terminator 2. No, yeah. I was amazed from today. I'm still as equally, if not more, amazed today than I was as a kid. But it blew me away. I remember when it came out, like it was yesterday, and I didn't even know that a connection to the director to the other childhood favorite movie of mine. And but I always want the final movie of the season to be a big top shelf favorite of mine, and I want to share it with you guys and find out what you think. So, without question, just hang on a second.
What's the password?
Walt sent me. That's right. We're going to Toontown, and we're wrapping up this season with what I would call a true definition classic with Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Your initial thoughts, gentlemen?
I am so excited, man. Oh, I mean, I'm just excited to see this movie again. I haven't seen it in so long.
Same here.
Yeah, I know. It has been a long time since I've seen this.
I mean, I watch it about once a year.
Yeah, I've not seen it in a long time, and I've been wanting to watch it, and I stopped myself because I knew this was coming down the pipeline. So, yeah.
Well, that about wraps up Old Yeller, our third Moochie movie. You gotta love Moochie, not to be confused with The Mooch, because there's no confusing the two. It would be like confusing a good, clean, tasteful graphic design work with an inferior, shoddy graphic design work. On one hand, you have Moochie, so happy and full of energy. On the other hand, you have the Mooch, which is inferior in every possible way. Don't hire an inferior graphic designer. Get the Moochie of graphic designers. Get Todd Knapperink. Yeah, that's right. Moochie is always going to make a movie good, and Todd is always going to make your graphic design look good. You know where to find him. ByndandGraphics.com. That's BYDAND graphics.com.
What kind of logo do you want?
Hey, look over here. It's a drop shadow.
Colors.
We promise that Todd will not shove wood in your face constantly while you're trying to make a home remedy.
Yeah, he does have snakes
Or
in
chuck
his pockets.
rocks at you.
Oh, yeah. Todd's a great rock chucker, but he won't chuck them at you. Maybe on
Take that!
maybe on the fifth edit. We don't know. Can't speak for Todd. But from all of us to all of you, take care. We'll see you in Toontown next month.
Proud are we of mighty Medfield, alma mater dear. All your sons and daughters hail to thee, Medfield College of Technology. And while we hold your banner high, rock, rock, we shout your praises to the sky, rock, rock. For proud are we of mighty Medfield,